Hello class. In this video, we're going to go over division with two-digit divisors with models. But before we start into this lesson, I want you to pause the video, write down our full complete heading, your first name and last name, the date, mathematics, and your period number, along with the title of this video, Division with Two-Digit Divisors with Models. Pause this video now. Now that we have our heading in our book, let's do a quick review of our vocabulary words. Don't forget that we have our dividend. That's the number that we're breaking up. Our divisor, that's the number we're dividing by. That's what our groups are being that sized. And then our quotient, which is the answer. So remember, a dividend is divided by the divisor, and that's how we find our quotient. This should already be in our notebooks and on our index cards. So let's dive in. Let's look at our very first problem. Okay, and it says here, there are 156 students in Carville Middle School chorus. The music director wants the students to stand with 12 students in each row for the next concert. How many rows will there be? So we already know that it is dividing, and we need to look at 156 students and 12 students. So we're doing 156 divided by 12. So we're going to first deal with our model. So the very first thing that we need to do is we need to turn around and draw out our dividend. So remember our base 10 blocks where you have the big square that represents 100, we have the longs that represent 10, and then we have the singles that represent the ones. Well, that's the same thing we're doing here. So if you think about it, we have the 100, so that gives us our square, right? We have 50, the 5 in our tens. So we have 5 longs, 4 and 5. And then we have 6 ones. So we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So this here just represents our dividend. This is our dividend, right? We want to just represent this in a picture sort of model. So that's our first step by drawing that out. Now we need to look at and redraw this in using our groups of 12. So we want to have 12 in each column. So how can we do that? So this is the hard part with it. We actually have to sit and analyze our pictures. So I look and I see, what can I put together here? Or do I need to break something up to be able to make columns of 12? So we already know the square. The square is technically a 10 by 10, right? So I have 10 columns and I have 10 rows. This, each long is 1 by 10. So if I wanted to draw them to the side, instead of it being vertically, making it horizontally, I could take 2 of these, right? I could take 2 of them, and I can actually draw that into 12 rows. Right? Because we have our box of 10 by 10, and then the 2 on the bottom. That means each column here, each column has 12 in it. And we've used this. So all we're left with is these numbers, the 3 longs and the 6 singles. So I want to make 12. And as I'm thinking about this, all right, so this has 10, and I could put 2 of these with this one to make it 12. And I could do the same thing, put 2 of these with this one, and then put 2 of these with this one. And I could use them all, right? So let's try that. I draw the 1 long with the 2 dots. I draw the second long with its 2 dots. And then I draw the third one with its 2 dots. And I look and I go, I've used everything, so I have nothing remainder. So this must be our final answer. But how do I read this to find out what my quotient is? Well, I count how many columns I have. See, I have 12 in each column, so I just got to figure out how many. Well, I have 10 here, plus, this is a 10, not a 6, the 1 here, plus the 1 here, plus the 1 here, and let's add that up. 10 plus 1 plus 1 plus 1 gives me 13. So I know that 156 divided by 12 is 13. And then I circle my final answer. And I can always do this as a check, but because I know that this is a hard concept of regrouping, I want to spend more time on doing another example. So before I could do that, I want you to pause this video now, and I want you to write the question down and all of our work with our final answer. And then do your check on the side. Do 13 times 12, and I bet you're going to get 156. So pause the video now and write it in your notebooks. Now that we have this down, let's look at another example. So here it says there are 156 students at summer camp. The camp has 13 cabins. An equal number of students sleep in each cabin. How many students sleep in each cabin? So I look at this and I say, okay, I have 156 students that I need to break up, and they're being broken up into 13. So I have 156 divided by 13. So how can I use a model to draw this? Well, the first thing is I take the quotient and I'm going to draw my quotient out. So I have 100, so I know I have my square of 10 by 10, right? And then I have 5 longs, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And then I have 6 ones, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So again, this is the hardest part. We need to be able to analyze, right? I want to make it where I have 13 in each of my columns. Each column needs to have 13. So I need to sit and analyze, and I know that this has 10 columns, 10 rows. So there are 10 in each column, but I need 13. And I look at my longs, and I know that each column has 10. But if I was to take my long and change it from going vertically to making it go horizontally, or I'm just flipping it to its side, I know I could add 3 of these then into having 13. So basically I'm taking this and I'm redrawing it. I draw the 10 by 10, and these 3 longs, I'm going to put it on its side. 1, 2, 3. So if I look at it, I know now I have 10 columns with 13 in each, but I'm not done yet. I'm not, because I still have a whole bunch of stuff over here. So let's see. Let me take this long and I'm going to put it down. And I notice I have where I could take 3 singles, right? I could take these 3 singles and put them right at the end to make 13, because 10, 11, 12, 13. So I see what I have left, and I have a 10 and 3 singles. And we all know 10 plus 3 equals 13. So now I could group these together, right, as another long, 1, 2, 3. And I relook and I've used everything. Now, sometimes we're going to have leftovers, and we call those remainders, right? So we would put an R on the side and list what we have left over. But here, I don't have any remainders left over. So I know that I'm done. And I did forget to draw a line. I like to draw a line because it tells me that this is my working space of my manipulatives. So if you have the blocks to use and you want to use it by hand, be my guest, we can always move that around, right? So let's recheck. Here I have 10 columns, right? Well, including this, I have 13 in each. So now I have 10 plus, well, here's 10 plus 3, which gives me 13. So I have another column, and the same thing here. So I'm just adding up how many columns I have. So 10 plus 1 equals 12. So I notice I have 12 columns. So I know 156 divided by 13 is going to give me 12. And then I'm going to circle my answer. Again, this is just playing and moving things around. Sometimes we may want to break up this base 10 block. Sometimes we don't. We have to actually look and think about each number before we do so. All right. So I want you now to pause this video and I want you to copy down the question, our work, our calculations, and our final answers. And then I want you to do a check. Do 12 times 13. And I bet you'll get 156. So pause the video now and copy down your work. Now that we have this down, let's do one more problem. Here we have 143 divided by 13. So what I'm going to do is draw out my quotient, my dividend, sorry. So I have 1 base 10 flat, right? Which is 10 by 10, 4 longs, 2, 3, 4, and then I have 3 singles because I have 3 ones, right? And again, I want them in 13. So I want to be able to move these around so that I have 13 in each column. So I know that this is 10 in each column. So if I took these 3 with it, I can make 13, right? So let's write that. So I want to have 13 in each column, right? So I do. Now I look and I have 1 long and 3 singles left over. So that equals 13. In this case, we don't have anything left over. We've used these, right? So we then have to circle this because we've used it. And if it's helpful for you to use different colors, you may do so as well. And I count. I have 10 columns here. And I have 1 column here. And what is 10 plus 1? Is 11. So I know that my final answer of 143 divided by 13 is going to give me 11. And you can multiply this, 11 times 13, and you're going to get 143. I want you to pause this video now, okay, and write it in your notebooks. Now that we have this down, I want you to try it on your own. Right? I want you to solve using this video and do a check for each one of 168 divided by 12 and 187 divided by 11. Don't forget you're going to draw out your dividend in your base 10 blocks, the flat for 100, the longs for 10s, and then the singles for 1s. And then move them around. Some people find it helpful that they take a sheet of paper and they cut it out so that they can physically move it around. You are welcome to do that as well. I know that this is a hard topic to concept. We will go over more in school tomorrow. So please do not stress out if we don't fully understand this concept. We will go over it more. All right. But I want to see where it is that you guys are struggling with so that I know how to better help you. And again, you are more than welcome to pause this video and watch it again as many times as you need to answer these questions. Please pause the video now and don't forget to show all of your work.